Welcome. I'm your host, Tim Starks, and with me is Eileen Rayton, a parent education expert who's been in the field for over 20 years. Eileen?
Thank you, Tim. In this series, we'll look at some of the primary issues parents face in raising their children. Parenting is a skill, but like all skills, it is acquired and can be developed and improved. The children on our program are 5-year-olds, but as we know, many of the ideas that apply to young children are applicable to children of any age. The topic of today's program is sibling rivalry, which is a concern for many families. Tim?
Now let's take a look at a scene with a brother and a sister, and think about what you'd do as a parent if you were in this situation.
Dinner's almost ready, guys. Well, sweetie, you stay here, and I'm gonna get everything on the table, okay?
Daddy, can you read me a story?
After dinner, sweetie. Go play with your brother now.
Don't! Daddy, David hit me.
How many times have I told you, no hitting?
But Dad, that's not fair.
No, there's no excuses. You go up to your bedroom now. Come back when you learn how to behave.
What is going on in here?
Nothing.
Those of us with brothers and sisters have probably experienced something like what just happened. I know I did. Let's take a moment to think about the following questions. How did Jennifer and Larry's behavior affect the situation? Why did Samantha pick a fight with her brother? What would you have done if these were your children? Okay, let's start with the first question. How did Larry and Jennifer's behavior affect the situation? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little sister just like Samantha, and she was always getting me in trouble. But I think that Larry was wrong in the way he handled David.
Yeah.
But if David hadn't have been so selfish and would have gone ahead and shared his dinosaurs, then...
Hold it. She had her own doll.
Hold on, what did you say?
Oh, I said, hold it. She had her own doll. She could have played with that, but no, she wanted what David had.
Wait a minute. She didn't want what David had. She wanted someone to pay attention to her.
Okay, well, let's explore that. Now, what did Larry do when Samantha asked him to read a story to her? Yeah.
He ignored her. He said that he would do it later.
I was on a deadline, okay? I work at home, and I had spent part of the afternoon with Samantha. And then when Jenny came home, I figured, okay, it's her turn.
Larry, I had just gotten home. I was trying to get dinner ready.
Right, I agree with Jennifer. I mean, I think that Larry caused the whole problem. He's the one who told Samantha to go see what David was up to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
They have a...
So it's David. So it's Larry's fault that Samantha went over and provoked her brother. I mean, am I the only one that saw that she hit him first?
No. She just wanted to play with him, that's all.
That makes it okay? David's the one who got in trouble. Larry didn't even give him a chance to explain.
Explain what? I mean, we have a rule in our house, the number one rule, no hitting. He broke the rule, he gets sent up to his room. End of story.
Okay, Eileen, what do you think about all this?
Well, first, I think we have to remember that siblings have conflict, but it's how we handle it as parents that can make the difference. Samantha wanted some attention from her parents, and to get that, she provoked her brother, but he got into trouble.
So, Eileen, do you think Larry and Jennifer could have avoided this whole situation in the first place?
Well, it's very likely. When parents have been working all day, it's a good idea to plan for the arrival home.
Yeah.
A plan? I mean, just to come home?
Oh, sure. No, parents are busy. They have a lot of time pressures. There's just too much to do. But children need attention, and they'll often get angry when they can't get what they need. And
Very true.
Sometimes they'll pick a fight with a brother or sister, just like Samantha did, so they'll get noticed.
But Larry's been home all day long with the kids.
Well, but he's been working and not really focused on David or Samantha. And parents do need to make time to sit and actually talk with their children. It doesn't have to be a large amount of time, but it has to be special for the children. And then you can get dinner ready or do the chores.
You know, but that's a really bad time of day. I'm exhausted when I come home. I don't have time then.
It's not always possible to give your child attention when he demands it, but then make a date with him when you know you have the time so that he'll understand that he'll get the attention that he craves. And it's very important to meet with the child when promised, or he'll lose trust.
So what you're saying is that Samantha got mad at her mom and dad, and so she took it out on her brother?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Samantha picked a fight with David because she needed some attention, and she didn't get it, even from David. But many times, rivalry is aimed at the parent, and the child who's the aggressor may not even be angry with the sibling. However, we need to remember that a child who does this may be looking for a way to get back at the parent because he or she feels ignored.
Yeah, but David's still the one that got in trouble.
Yes, and that's a very good point. And we need to watch carefully if one child in the family is always in trouble and the other child is always what we'd call the good one.
Yes.
That's just how it was in my family. I always got in trouble by my big brother.
When we don't see the actual incident, it's a good idea not to assume who the guilty one is. And we need to listen to both sides without becoming embroiled in the argument. But I'd like to really emphasize that a child who is always in trouble may become resentful of the sibling and maybe of the parents as well.
But David did hit her.
Yes, but why did he do that?
She hit him first.
Hold on, what'd you say?
She hit him first. He was mad.
Well, right, but you know both children were angry. And they need to be taught that hitting is not an appropriate way to handle anger.
Okay, so Samantha was mad at her parents, and David was mad at Samantha. A lot of emotions here. What do we do? I mean, how could Jennifer and Larry have handled this situation?
Well, it's important for parents to acknowledge powerful emotions like anger, but it's how we learn to express that anger that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. What are they supposed to do?
Good question. Well, what about out here? Any suggestions?
Well, the kids could express their feelings verbally, right?
Yeah, yes. But sometimes young children don't know how to say what they feel, and we need to help them. So you could say something like, "Oh, you seem really mad." And this would help your child feel understood and may even encourage further discussion.
Well, I've told David not to hit his sister, and he knows not to hit her, and he promised he wouldn't hit her.
Well, just saying he won't do it again isn't enough. Instead, you need to ask him what he could do instead of hitting her, and that applies to Samantha as well.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, there are ways to express anger if the child's not able to verbalize it. He could draw a picture to tell us how he feels, or if he really feels a strong urge to hit, he can hit a pillow. But it works. Yes.
Yeah,
it works.
So knowing all this, what could Larry and Jennifer have done differently? Yes.
Well, when Jennifer comes home, she could plan to spend some special time with both kids before dinner and before the chores. Or maybe Larry can make dinner.
Yeah.
Actually, I enjoy cooking. Maybe I could give something, to Samantha to do, like set the table or something.
That's a good idea. But it's best to give her a choice. You might suggest she could set the table or help you mix the salad, and then praise her efforts.
Okay, so let's say that still doesn't work out, and there's still a problem with the kids. How do we handle that? Yeah.
I think, first of all, not jump to conclusion as to who's to blame.
Can encourage the kids to express themselves with words and not use violence.
Exactly, but
Right.
they should express what they're feeling not only to the parents, but to each other as well.
And let both of them know that hitting is not allowed.
Let's review what we have just talked about. Which of the following choices would be most appropriate for Larry and Jennifer? A. They could set aside special time to be with their children and involve them in chores and other evening activities. B. They could help their children express feelings. C. They could punish David for hitting Samantha. A and B are appropriate choices Larry and Jennifer could have made. You may have some additional good ideas as well. Letter C is not the best choice. Punishing David would not teach him how to respond in a more appropriate way. He didn't start the fight and probably wouldn't understand why he was being punished. Let's summarize some of the key ideas from this section. Number 1, set aside special time with children and involve them in family activities. This makes children feel important. Number 2, when a parent hasn't actually seen what's happened between siblings, it's important not to jump to conclusions about who's guilty and who's not. Number 3, children should be helped to express their feelings directly to each other, so they are able to iron out their differences and maintain their self-esteem. Larry and Jennifer, given what we've just discussed, let's try the scene again.
Great.
That'd be great.
Let's
Daddy, will you read me a story?
I'll read you a story, honey, but after dinner, okay? Just go play with your brother right now.
Don't! Daddy, David hit me.
David, why'd you hit your sister?
She kicked over my dinosaurs and besides, she poked me first.
Why'd you do that? Were you mad?
Yeah, he wouldn't let me play with him.
And that made you mad, huh?
Very mad.
Kind of hurt your feelings?
But remember, we don't poke or hit in this house, right?
Right.
Can you tell David how you feel?
Wanted to play with you, but you hurt my feelings.
Did you hear what your sister said?
But I didn't want to play with her.
Yeah, but you didn't mean to hurt her feelings, did you?
No.
Why don't you go and tell her that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I just wanted to play by myself.
Good. Now what are you going to do next time you want to hit her?
Ow.
So, Larry, Jennifer, how did that feel?
Much better. I think it's important to respect what children feel.
It felt good helping them express their own emotions, so when they get older, they'll have the skills to do it on their own.
Now let's take a look at another young family with a slightly different problem. Think about how you'd handle the next situation.
Kapow, kapow. Kaboom, kaboom. I touched it, he's mine. That's the rules. Nah, you're supposed to touch him twice. Why didn't you touch him twice? Liar, you said once. I touched him, he's mine. Nah. Give him to me or I'll tell Daddy on you. Remain, nose a cry, baby, remain, nose a cry, baby. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy!
Would you stop the screaming? Can I ever watch a game in peace?
What's going on in here?
Pedro's a big fat liar. He doesn't play fair. Remain, nose a cry, baby, remain, nose a cry, baby.
Can't you boys spend 2 minutes together without fighting?
Why can't you be more like your cousins, Miguel and Santos?
Yeah, they get along.
Why
They're
don't
good kids.
Why don't I want to play with that big baby anyway?
Fine. Why don't you go find someplace else to play? Why don't don't you just stay here and be quiet, okay?
So, let's talk about what just happened. Think about these questions. What happened between the two brothers? How did Gonzalo's and Teresa's behavior affect them and the problem's outcome? What would you do if you were the parent in this situation? Any thoughts on what just happened?
It looked to me as if the two brothers that were playing together, that they were playing some kind of game with rules. And when the little brother won, the older brother just switched the rules on him.
No. You don't know that. I mean, maybe Paige was right and it was 2 touches. Nobody bothered to ask the kids.
Hold on.
I really don't think it matters whether it was 1 touch or 2. What really happened was that all they did was rush in and separate them. I don't think that solved much.
Gonzalo?
Well, they stopped shouting and screaming, didn't they?
Yeah, but did you see how upset it left Ramiro?
Eileen, what do you think?
Well, sometimes avoiding conflict can actually be more harmful in the long run. Children who are taught only to avoid conflict may grow into passive adults with a lot of suppressed anger and rage.
Interesting. Anything else?
Yes. When she said, "Why couldn't I be more like my cousins?" I hated that. When I was little, my parents said that to me all the time. Regardless of what I did, I could have never been good enough like my cousins.
Right. Eileen, is that a pretty common parenting practice, comparisons? Is that common?
It's common, but it's not very helpful. Even when you're upset with your children, try not to compare them with each other or with other children outside the family. It only creates feelings of resentment and jealousy and anger. And as we have just seen, those feelings can last for years.
Right. Now, is there something constructive that Gonzalo and Teresa could have done?
Well, first of all, it's important to understand that rivalry between siblings is not all bad. Sometimes children can learn to be more resilient. They learn how to assert themselves, defend themselves, and they also learn how to compromise, which we need to know in order to be successful in the outside world. And I think an important place to learn this is at home.
Okay, is sibling rivalry okay? Or?
So what are you saying, that Gonzalo and Teresa should have just left the boys alone, maybe to duke it out themselves?
Not at all. But let's ask Larry and Jennifer, what did you learn?
Well, first of all, not to jump to conclusions about who's right or who's wrong. I don't know. Personally, I think it was the younger brother that was right. What do you think, Jenny?
I don't know if right or wrong really matters here. Maybe Gonzalo and Teresa can help their boys to work out their problems.
But how? They were screaming and yelling.
Well, you're right, but you were also right to separate them. But after they calmed down, you could have asked them to come up with a plan that they could agree on and how they might get along better. Do you think they'd be able to do that?
Yeah, but Pedro's much older. He always gets the best of Ramiro.
You know, it's such a natural reaction, as parents often jump in to rescue the younger or more fragile child. But we need to teach our children how to stand up for themselves so we can preserve their dignity and their self-respect.
Would you like to add more to that, Eileen?
Yes, as I said before, when your children start to fight, give them a minute or two to calm down before you intervene. And maybe they can even settle their own problems. But if you have to jump in and stop the fight, let each child explain his point of view, and of course make sure everybody listens.
Right.
I noticed a lot of name calling, liar and crybaby. What can you do about that?
Well, that's an opportunity, again, to teach children how to deal constructively with their emotions. For instance, you can say, name calling is not allowed, and then help your child say what he feels and what he wants.
Can we try it again?
Well, absolutely. But first, let's review some of the points we've just touched on. Which of the following choices would be most appropriate for Gonzalo and Teresa? A. They could punish the children for name-calling and fighting, then separate them. B. They could avoid comparing their boys with each other or other children. C. They could teach Pedro and Ramiro how to handle conflict constructively. D. They could give the children a minute or two to see if they can work out the problem on their own. If they can't, they could help them to express what they feel and what they want to happen. Answers B, C, and D are appropriate choices Gonzalo and Teresa could have made. You may have additional good ideas as well. Letter A is not the best choice. Punishing them does not teach them to express their needs and feelings in a way that is helpful to them. Let's summarize some of the ideas we've just discussed. Number 1, avoid comparisons. Unfavorable comparisons can make a child feel inferior and inadequate, while a favorable comparison can make a child feel uncomfortable. Number 2, teach children how to handle conflicts constructively. Children need guidance in learning to handle conflict, especially when intense emotions or physical aggression are involved. Number 3, treat your children with respect. Give them a minute or two to see if they can work out the problem on their own. This will help them develop their own problem-solving skills and add to their own sense of self-worth and dignity. Gonzalo and Teresa, are you ready to try this scene again?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Pow, pow, kaboom, kaboom. Give him to me. I touched him. He's mine. That's the rules. Nah, wait. Nah, I'm supposed to touch him twice. Why didn't you touch him twice? Liar, you said once. I touched him. He's mine. Nah. Give him to me or I'll tell Daddy on you. Remain as a cry, baby. Remain as a cry, baby. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy!
What's all the racket?
He cheated. He's a big fat liar. And Romano's a big fat stupid
Okay,
crybaby.
boys, we don't call each other names, right?
You boys think you can calm down long enough to talk this thing through?
He cheated.
Okay, don't tell me. Tell him.
You said if I hit mine against yours, I captured him. And you said I have to hit him twice. And
how did it make you feel?
mad, really mad.
Okay, so tell him.
You made me mad. I don't want to play with you. You change the rules all the time. Well, you make up your own rules. Okay, we're in a dark, creepy jungles, and there's tigers and bears everywhere.
Gonzalo, Teresa, how do you feel now?
I feel great. I mean, I learned how to help my children resolve their difficulties.
I feel good. I learned how harmful it is to compare my boys to other children.
Let's put together some of the ideas we've discussed today. Number 1, set aside special time to be with your children. Number 2, avoid jumping to conclusions about who's right or wrong. Number 3, listen to your children. Number 4, try not to compare your children with each other or to other children. Number 5, let the children calm down and then help them to express their feelings. Number 6, help your children learn to solve their own problems. Try to keep these points in mind when your children disagree or fight. An excellent way to implement these new skills with your children is to keep a daily journal. You may want to write down when your children fight, the reasons the fighting began, and what you did to help the children resolve the problems themselves.
We hope that watching this video has shown you some different techniques in handling everyday sibling rivalry. And we look forward to working with you again on our next episode of The Now and Future Parents.